And hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I am coming at you today with an interview with my good friend Zach Kehley. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. So, Zach, it has been a couple months, I think, since it was last year when I interviewed you last.
Yeah.
What was going on the last time I had interviewed you? Do we remember?
Oh my God.
I'll
Dude,
try to find
I feel like the past 2 years have been such a blur that even you ask me what I have for breakfast is a tall thing to ask for at this point. Man, I don't know. I've been so busy just on my own time that I thought about this the other day about just how I don't remember the past year or two at all. It all just blends together in a certain way.
So this was October of 2021. Actually, it was actually a year and a half ago.
Yep, that makes a little
wow.
more sense then.
Look at that sweet booty.
Yeah, you like that? Yeah, it's just been crazy. I mean, especially coming out of COVID and the world getting back to normal, it feels like the intensity of just life has just turned up exponentially for everybody, including me. So
yeah, people went doing stuff hard. I mean, when you were locked up for a while, you got to come back and go hard, whatever it is, whether it be partying, be working, be going and
yeah,
I
especially,
had a lot of.
Don't cut me off, man. I swear to God. No, I was gonna say I'm also I'm a full-time student too, so it's that as well. I've been going to school nonstop for the past 2 years, and then this after this semester, I'm going to be done and actually take a break for once and actually enjoy the time off a little bit with Kate. So hopefully that'll be some reprieve.
So you've had what are you going to school for again?
History.
Okay, and that is so you'll have your bachelor's or you have your master's?
I'm in a dual bachelor's and master's program.
Okay.
So it'll be a bachelor's in history and a bachelor's in education and a master's in teaching.
Okay. And then you could be a teacher. I mean, you are in a sense already a teacher as far as music though. You have what is it you have again? You have I forget what it's called.
So I got actually it was like you said, October 2021. So I teach for an organization called Guitars for Vets. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before.
I saw it on your Facebook page. I'm not. I can guess what it is, but
yeah, they've gotten more popular over the past couple of years. In the summer of 2021, I saw they were putting ads out for that they needed instructors for their online curriculum, and I was like, well, that's one, a good resume builder. Two, I love to teach guitar to as many people as possible anyway. So it's if I could do it for vets, that would be pretty cool. And it's a volunteer opportunity. And I became enrolled with them in October 2021 is when I first started taking on students. I've taught privately, but it's different because one, it's exchange of money. There's a lot of situations where you have students that don't necessarily want to learn, for younger kids specifically, if their parents want them to learn, they're just not interested in it. That's kind of soul sucking because no matter how much enthusiasm you put into it, there's no guarantee that they're either going to continue with it or even just like it. So with the Guitars for Vets thing, it's for vets that are with the VA and they need, well, don't need, but they're getting therapy, and Guitars for Vets is an alternative therapy pathway for them.
Yeah.
So they do 10 lessons with instructors like me, and at the end of the 10 lessons, they get a free guitar at the end of it, which is pretty cool.
Sweet.
And it's all free. And oddly enough, about a year ago, one of the students I had, I actually ended up indirectly working with him when I was on active duty as a unit. He was a schoolhouse instructor at I think it was at Pope, and I asked him about his job because that was one of my assets. I felt as an instructor with that program, and still is that I know the lexicon. It's most of these these guys that come in and teach this class or teach these classes, they're not vets. It's very rare that a vet comes in and does it. So the fact that I can do that and talk to them about that makes it a little bit easier, and they really open up to me. So he started talking about his job, and I was like, oh, that sounds kind of familiar with stuff I've done. And literally his name, I remember looking at it thinking it looked familiar, and it was the guy I was exchanging emails with over over the course of about a year. So ended up finding that out, and I was like, it's just crazy how paths can cross sometimes. But yeah, man, it's a great organization. If anybody is interested in it, if anybody is a guitar instructor or a teacher, wants to get into teaching, it's a great way to get into teaching. If you're not sure if it's something you want to do, it's awesome. But yeah, I've been doing that for about a year and a half now. It's pretty crazy.
Okay, and when people sign up for this, like they're already part of the VA and they're already doing some type of therapy. Does this have to be something that the doctor recommends, or can they say, "Hey, can I go and do this?"
Technically, I think you just put in a form and the VA approves it or not. I don't think a doctor has to do it. I think.
Do they have do they send people down like randomly to see like, oh, make sure he's actually teaching, or could I put in a form and then we just drink for 2 hours on our lessons?
So believe it or not, because like I had like a formal interview process and everything like that. And like I kind of thought the same thing, because especially with the free guitar thing, I'm like, one, how valuable is the guitar that you're getting? And I was like, if I was getting treatment through the VA, I would do it just to get a free guitar.
Right. Get a sweet axe.
So they gave us scenarios, and one of those things was kind of like what you just said. It was, what would you do if you started teaching and you gave this student some task to do? Because like it's a very condensed amount of time. I can only do 10 lessons with them. If they want to continue after the fact, that's cool, but they can only do 10 lessons under that platform. They asked the question, if there's a student that is clearly not showing any interest or is doing it just to get the free guitar, like, what would you do? And I said, well, to be honest with you, I was like, as long as they weren't being inappropriate or anything like that, like I'd probably just roll with it and just keep my hands clean. They were like, all right, that's kind of the answer we're looking for, to be honest. I was like, oh, okay, that's not what I thought. There was a grandmother that did it, and she was very transparent in the first lesson or two. And she said, I'm only doing this because I want my grandson to get the free guitar so he can start taking lessons. I was like, all right. So I've been kind of validated in that way, that it is a good thing to do it in that way. But yeah, so that is possible.
How long are the lessons?
They're blocked out for an hour. I can teach it however I want. They give me like a guide in case, like, if it's somebody that's never taught before on how to go about it. But I've gone over with, if I'm like really grooving with somebody, I'll stay for, I've taught one session for 2 to 3 hours at times, just because like it's really inspiring to get somebody where you can see that inspiration that they have, and they want to get it so bad, and they're really trying, because it's so easy to give up. Like it really is, because it's such a hard thing to get your hands to do in the beginning. But I've always told people, I'm like, it's like driving stick shift. Like, it seems insurmountable until you do it the first time, and then it clicks and you're like, oh, that's super simple. Yeah. So I try to encourage everybody to at least try it, like really try it for a couple weeks to like a month, because it's so much easier than people think it is, especially for what people want to get out of it. Most people just want to be able to just play in their bedroom and play their favorite songs at a basic level. Like that's a really easy thing to do, not to like discount somebody that really has tried and not been able to do it for whatever reason, but like, it's not as daunting as people think. So it's really cool when you get somebody that really wants to do it, and then you see them do it. It's like, oh, it's so rewarding.
I've heard it's easy, and like so I came from playing violin and then piano on later in life. So I felt like it should have been an easy transition. And this guy I knew was like, hey, like we'll pick like a simple song. Pick like Hey There Delilah. And it should be easy. I was like, okay. And I swear I was trying, and my brain just did a derp, and it just couldn't. I don't know why. Violin, easy. Piano, like guitar, I just can't do it. I don't know why. There's like a mental block. The 6 strings, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. I definitely, if you play piano and you even like a more like classic instrument like a violin, you have a leg up on every guitar player there is, for the most part.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, especially a piano, because I mean, like a fretboard on a guitar is more or less just, it is a piano. set of keys. It's just in a vertical
shape,
and it's all basic variations of what you could do on a keyboard on a piano. Like that's the limitation of guitar as opposed to piano, is that you can't make as complex chords as you can on a piano because you have all your fingers at your disposal. On a guitar, you don't. But that's been like my thing. I've been trying to convince my wife to let me get a piano for the house.
Yeah.
I can learn, because I want to learn how to play piano so bad.
It's really fun. I mean, even if you just get like a 88 key like keyboard and you just like that's pretty fun. So for violin, I could read music very well. For piano, I like never learned. I never had a teacher. So like I did it in like the most autistic way possible. What I would do, I would find a YouTube tutorial on how to play a certain song. And it's not like I would have to pause it. I would have to draw out a keyboard. And then whenever I see their finger touch a button or touch a key, it's like, okay, 1. And then, okay, here's 2. And then I would just do it. And then it took as surprisingly not as long as you would think, but that was my approach at doing that.
You can get so far with just YouTube. You don't even have to pay for courses in the beginning. That's why I tell a lot of people that I see that in like groups that I'm in, of people looking for teachers or looking for the best way possible with all the information. That's what's his name? Bill. What's up, Bill?
Bill Gardner.
Mike too. What's up, man? I always tell a lot of people that even like today, like the most content I consume is guitar instruction on YouTube. I watch that more than like TV. You can get so far with just looking in the right direction for teachers on YouTube. The only problem I see with, and I have the same problem, is that sometimes you get so much information and it might be 10 steps ahead of you, and you're learning something that you need to learn the steps prior to that to get there for it to make sense.
Yeah.
I've had situations where I learn concepts and I'll be like, this is really cool, but I have no idea what the hell this is. And it's like, it's really weird, but like sometimes that's the best thing that happens. Like last semester I wrote a paper on Kurt Cobain and Nirvana. And that was one of the things I talked a lot about and read a lot about that I kind of knew already, but really wanted to get into the weeds about, was because I'm not a huge Nirvana fan. It's like I really respect them. Yeah, like I like them. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I can't listen to Nirvana. Like I listen to them quite a bit, but wouldn't consider them one of my favorite bands, especially from that grunge era, which is like one of my favorites. Is that there's some value in the fact that he doesn't know what he's doing, because if he did know what he was doing, it would kind of be a limitation.
Yeah.
Because there's like theory nuts that know everything about theory and they're in this linear box and they can't think outside of it. And I do that sometimes too. And it's a crutch. Like it's good to be able to know that and be able to communicate in the proper way, but it's also kind of, it's a problem that you can have. And people, that's where you get writer's block from a lot of prominent musicians. They'll get writer's block and they don't know where to go because they think inside this one shape, when all the best ideas come from something that nobody's ever thought of yet.
Yeah, that's like I think Sweet Emotion, like, okay, well, songs like that were written like on acid, and it's like, oh, what other amazing songs do we not have? Because people would think of them, but then they wouldn't write them down, and then they're just lost.
Yeah, I'll never forget listening to, I'm fascinated with Paul McCartney and like the Beatles, especially after that doc came out last year.
Which one?
The Get Back, it was on Disney Plus.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, that was great.
Okay, great. Because the last time I talked about this with somebody, they didn't see it yet. And I was like, oh, you gotta see it, because it just, like, I'm not gonna lie, it was like the most inspiring thing to ever see that. And it was almost like, it's almost like somebody went back in time, knew how special those moments were, and they were like, I know I have to film this. The fact that they got coverage of that in the infancy of those songs that were going to become like bigger than life is just beyond me. But I'll never forget listening to Paul McCartney talk about, I think it was yesterday, he said he wrote that, came to him in a dream, woke up, wrote it down, played it out. And I'm like, how many great songs have been lost to the fact of, oh, I'll remember it tomorrow. I'll remember it 10 minutes. I go through that every day and I never remember, and I still don't learn my lesson. So
you said it was inspiring, and I took it a different way, where not that I was ever really wanted to be like a musician, but I took it as, oh, okay, you could be a good musician. It's like that quote from Rudy where it's like, oh, you could be a whatever Rudy's last name was, I forget it was. It's like you could be a Rudy or whatever, and you could have a decent life, but you'll never be like super rich. And I feel like most people that have a good talent and knack for music, they can definitely be very good, but no matter how hard they try, it's like Vegeta trying to catch Goku. They'll never be able to because you have someone like Paul McCartney that could dream music.
Yep.
And that's just something that 99.99% of musicians don't have, I don't think.
Oh yeah, no, that's what makes him special. It's like,
yeah.
But like you get one hit wonders all the time that do something and that's all they can muster up, but it finances their entire life and they can live a good lifestyle just based off of one shit song that they do. And it's like, and like I've talked about this with plenty of people. I'm like, if you knowingly knew that what you had was a one hit wonder, would you be okay with that? And I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. Like, why not? If it like another person that we can segue into that had like a kind of a connected idea to this that I find interesting is that is John Mayer too, which I get a lot of shit from a lot of people because I like John Mayer so much and I get it. But I hated him for the longest time. I hated the ego or perceived ego, what so have you. But I watched a talk with him when he went back to Berkeley and he was talking to a bunch of students.
Yeah.
And I think some student asked the question about Your Body is a Wonderland and like why he wrote that song, because that song is not indicative of the rest of the catalog that he has, which I totally agree, because that's why I didn't like him in the beginning, because I thought that's who he was and it's not. And he said that essentially, I'll paraphrase it, he said that song gave him the artistic license to be able to do whatever he wants.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, yeah, I get that. That makes total sense. If you have, it's like doing a deal with the devil in a way. He has to play that song every night, no matter what. He probably hates it.
Yeah.
But it allows him to play the biggest venues in the world, and it allows him to create things and put it out to a big audience that otherwise wouldn't want to listen.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so is that, when you heard him say that quote, is that what got you from I hate this guy to, oh, wait a minute, let's make sense?
It was like all in the same time, because I was deployed when I started getting into him.
Puppy.
My wife just got home. And I made like a commitment to myself. Like, people go to school sometimes and people like have objectives. People go to the gym. I was like, I'm going to really like get into the weeds on guitar during this time. And he kept coming up and I was like, I'm not listening to him. And he, like I said, he kept coming up, and then I watched a video and I was like, oh, that's actually pretty kick-ass. I didn't know he was that like clever with guitar stuff. And it just sounds funny because like now I'm just blown away by everything that he does. And yeah, it was like all at the same time I started just taking in content about John Mayer related. And I stumbled upon that and ended up on my own podcast during COVID. I ended up interviewing his teacher from Berkeley.
Oh, wow.
Because he's like a big YouTube guy now, but I got to talk to him about that. And that was like an incredible experience too.
That's pretty dope.
It was.
So when you were talking about they kept popping up on deployment, have you ever had that experience with other things? Like, let's say back in the day when you had like the TV guide on, it's like, oh, I don't want to watch this show. I don't know what it is, but I don't like it. Like for me, I had that with Gilmore Girls. Like, I don't care about Gilmore Girls. And then I loved it when I was older.
Oh my God. I went to Gilmore Girls trivia with my wife and her friends like a while ago.
I would have owned at that.
It was at a brewery. So I was like, all right, that'll be my excuse to go. And even the stuff was over her head, but it was actually a fun experience. But I've watched the show on and off because of that. And, yeah, it's super funny. But you love that show?
Oh yeah, that's probably in the 2000s, late 2000s. That was I've probably seen that show every episode like 5 times.
No way, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. What do you like about it? Like, what drew you into it?
Well, at first, it was just 2 pretty girls, and
that helps.
And I was like, okay. It was my friend Justin got me into it, and I was like, okay, 2 pretty girls, nice to look at. And then it was just it was like the wit, it was like the fast paced talking, and it's like, oh, like they're witty. Like this is interesting, and I felt like almost that I got to be myself more wittful, more just a little more, slightly more intelligent, a little more fast paced, like reflex. I don't know why.
Like, because you
Because
kind of saw that as like a strategy you could kind of use and how effective it was, or
no, it was just also, well, it started because I watched it because of my friend Justin, and then I would hear a lot of girls talking about it too. So that was like my in with girls. Like, oh, hey, did you see Gilmore Girls this weekend? I'm so mad at
yeah,
Lorelai. And so, and then also just everyone liked them. I think because they talked really quickly and because they said these outrageous things, and there were a lot of funny jokes in there. So it's very entertaining.
if
Um,
you were just hooked.
yeah, it was a good time. But also, I watched it when I was younger, and the girl Rory at the time was always older than me. So it's like, okay, well, I guess here's what older kids and older people like have to deal with. And then as I've gotten older, I was like, okay, well, here's what the mom has. Actually, this is the first year that I'm actually the same age as the mom when the whole series started. And I don't know how I feel about that now. Now comes to realization.
Dude, that is like an untalked about thing. I have that with sports now.
Yeah.
You know, I like, you know me, I used to be like a huge sports fanatic, and like I'm super excited the Eagles are in the Super Bowl, but I've noticed as I've especially like now as I'm getting a little bit older, I'm like not able to connect with sports like I used to in the same way
Yeah.
because the athletes are so young and I look at them as like children. And I always thought about that for years. I'm like, what's it gonna be like when I'm older than the athletes? Like, am I gonna be like resentful? Am I gonna like not be interested anymore? It's I don't know if it's just because it's just so happens to be like as I'm getting super busy, or if it's just like me just becoming an old curmudgeon. But yeah, it's definitely like pushed me away from digesting sports as much as I used to. It's
I,
weird.
I mean, it's definitely you being busy, I think, because when I first started YouTube like 2 years ago, it was or 3 years ago. Yeah, I think I started like right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
It was I had not played video games in a while, and not because I fell out of love with video games. I still love it. I'll always love it. It's just that I was, I had two businesses. I was dating this girl, and I had YouTube, so I was just too busy, and that's what kind of took it out. But yeah, same thing with sports, with boxing. It doesn't. I'm not jealous of the young men that are just in amazing shape. I just feel like a fat piece of crap, and I don't know, that also does inspire me. Like I don't understand how. I got to be careful how I say this. I don't understand how, or an observation I've made is that women will put down other beautiful women, saying like, "Oh, that's disgusting." Like whether the woman is like a twig, she's like, "Oh, real women have curves, real women have bones," or they'll say like, "Oh, like she's such a man," if she has like muscle, and so like that's not attractive. Where I find a lot, at least half of like the dudes I know that at least go to the gym, if they find someone that's not just better looking but bigger or stronger, they're like, "That's amazing, that's awesome." Very rarely do I find someone at the gym try to like talk shit about another gym goer. There are some people that like the people that really don't work out. Like, oh yeah, I could have big muscles too if I took steroids. And it's like, okay, well, I guess fair point, but I don't know. For me, I always like I get inspired by that, by people that are in better shape than me. Makes me want to do more.
Yeah, it especially like if you know how much it takes to
Well,
put that work in. Um, I was listening. Do you listen to Two Bears One Cave by any chance? You know who Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura is?
I love Bert Kreischer. Yeah, he's
Okay,
hysterical.
so it's his podcast with his best friend Tom Segura, and they were talking about surfing, which is something I have no interest in whatsoever. But like, I would try it. But they were kind of like talking about that same concept of like something you would never otherwise try in life, but when you do it and you see how difficult it is, and you get some reward from it by giving it a shot, like being able to ride a wave for 5 seconds or whatever, um, then you start to go like head first into seeing like the terrain of what that culture is like, and you start to appreciate so much more, especially for something like as niche as like surfing is. Unless you're like a surfer, there's really nobody that digests like that kind of that kind of culture. And they were just talking about how inspiring it is, even though you might not want to do that. It's inspiring to see somebody else that has done it, whether it's through luck of their own or through a combination of hard work and luck. It's like, it's super cool to see people be able to do that, and wild things that are like a dream to people. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think you remember the show Rocket Power?
Oh yeah. I saw like the opening to that the other day again. I was like, wow, what a throwback.
Yeah, that theme song got you pumped.
Oh, dude, my dude was Tito.
Oh, he was so chill, dude.
The snake guy, dude.
Yeah, he was legit. The Hawaiian that just could do everything.
He was definitely smoking some dank every day.
Definitely. So I I went into not deep in, I forget what I was watching. It might have been like a TikTok video talking about surf culture and how like you don't really realize it because I mean I grew up on the coast in Long Island, and most people that are surf are on the coast. You can't really be into surfing if you're in like Ohio or in most of middle America. But apparently in like the 60s, like the surf culture really got into like rock and roll, like called like Surf City, like Beach Boys, like, and then after a while, for whatever reason, it died. And I guess because new music comes in or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of at least our generation would maybe not be sympathetic, would at least be interested in those types of X Games because we grew up on like Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and we grew up on like Rocket Power, and that's what they did. They made it cool. Thought it was awesome.
And not for nothing, Jackass too is part of that.
Yeah,
that's what that like Viva La Bam, all that stuff like that.
Wild Boys.
That's skate culture, which is like they go hand in hand. And like even though I never tried skating anything, like I love that shit. But it also like that goes with music too. So like I guess that was like my way into that stuff was the music side of it. But I love that stuff.
the skating is interesting. I just had Killian Martin on, who's a professional. Yeah. So he was pretty cool. He was dope, and he just and part of the reason why I got on, I was like, I didn't know that he was like a fan of me. He's like, oh, I love your Omi and Vivi videos. I was like, oh, thank you.
That's super cool, man.
Yeah.
That was great. Kind of surreal though.
Yeah, it was wild. I was like, oh wow. Have you had that happen where you just like you go to like a show somewhere to see like a band, and then somebody else says, wait, are you that because like they see you touring or they see your videos? Have you had that happen?
Yeah, it's weird because like I don't know. It's so hard to explain. And you know what it's like, and
they buy you a beer.
I'm still like I'm a nobody, and it happens so infrequently that when it does happen, it's like really rewarding, but also at the same time, it's like, but what? Like you don't need to look at me like that. Like I'm just a bass player in a band. I play music, but yeah, I've had that happen a couple times where it's, especially when we play like the bigger shows, it's like I've signed autographs a couple times, which is kind of cool. And it's like kind of weird. But yeah, like my favorite thing is like being able to connect with people that like emotionally attached to the music, because it's like I can't put into words what it feels like to be able to play like a great show in front of so many people.
Yeah.
And because there's some days like I work my ass off, and I really sacrifice sleep. I sacrifice a lot of time, and I sacrifice a lot of energy. And my wife does too, to allow me to do these things in order to make that part of my life exist. Like for every practice we have, like it's over an hour drive for me to get there. And it's usually during the week. It's like, it's tough. And some days you think to yourself, you're like, what the hell am I doing all this for? Like, is it really worth it? And it is. It's because like during those moments that we're just talking about, that's why you do it, because I've been able to meet people I never thought I'd ever get a chance to meet. I've been able to see things that I never thought I'd get a chance to see. I've had opportunities that I thought would never come my way. And it's like kind of like a validation thing in a way too, because when I was growing up, I never had a music community anywhere near me. And I grew up right next to Philly.
Yeah.
It was mostly like it was mostly like cover bands and bar bands, which like that's great. Like I've always told myself the reason I want to get into teaching is so I said as a baseline goal of mine, and I will be completely satisfied with this. I was like, I want to teach during the year, and then during the summertime, I want to play gigs down the shore, and that's how I want to make a living. That's a perfect life to me. And like I'm gonna be able to do that. So Mike's the man. He does vocal covers, and he did a vocal cover of one of our songs. So
that's dope.
Yeah, it was really good.
You got a fan.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that we're talking about, like seeing somebody get like an emotional charge from our stuff. It's like wild because it's like it's just us doing what we do.
That feeling that you said that you get like playing at a big show, it reminded me of a famous photo that I'm sure you've seen by Elton John, where I think he's at I forget what stadium he's at, but just that's got to be feeling on top of the world.
Yeah, and it's really weird like seeing things like that now and looking at what the future is, because I don't know if that's going to be possible for like a band of my generation anymore, outside of like MCR, Fall Out Boy. Like I think those bands will be able to do it, but like I don't think we're going to be able to have like the Foo Fighters, like the bands that really occupy that space, especially with how hard it is and how expensive it is to tour and to be able to make it to that level. It's like I don't know if that's going to be possible, and your music could be great. I don't even know if that's going to be possible for like rock bands specifically. Like the pop acts will always be able to do that. Harry Styles, and I love Harry Styles. He's great. I'd love to go see him live, actually.
I feel like even the bands that everyone knew and loved in like the early mid 2000s, like there was like Simple Plan. I had seen a few years ago at the Paramount in Huntington, and it was great, but there was like a couple hundred people there. Like it was packed, because that's the venue. But it's like, man, I feel like in the 2000s, these guys probably could have filled maybe not a stadium, but I would see them at Warped Tour, and obviously Warped Tour is huge. It was crazy. Yeah, it's a weird culture that's not as big as a lot of people think.
I feel like it's coming back in a way because like I still do cover gigs as well. And that shit always hits. And like you said, your buddy's in that band, the Warped Tour cover band, right?
Yeah, my friend Lou. Yeah.
Which I've seen his band pop up a lot. And I told my friend like a year ago, I was like, that's technically classic rock now. Those cover bands that were playing classic rock tunes, that's what it is. And like now there's a huge audience for it because we're all grown up and we have disposable incomes to go see that crap.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of weird to think about, but like, I just try to think about like what the future is. Yeah, that's because we got some stuff dropping on Friday. We're doing like a huge, we're doing, which is why I asked to come on today. I'm trying to get as many people to pre-save and get eyeballs on this.
Of course. So yeah, tell us about touring and tell us about this band. Tell us from nuts to bolts what we should expect from both you, the tour, and Poeta.
All right. So this Friday, first come, first serve. Let's do that. Or that's not first come, first serve. First things first. That should be the thing I say. We're doing an acoustic EP, and the first single's dropping on Friday, and it's going to be every Friday. We're going to drop a new one for the next 4 weeks. The first one's going to be on Friday. Like I said, there will be a video. It's going up everywhere that you can stream. But it's like reimagined versions of the album that we put out in September, which did great. We're still pushing it. And we got some pretty good shows coming up because of that. We're playing with Palisades at their farewell show on the 25th up in Asbury Park. That's sold out within an hour.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be nuts. And we're filming that entire set for us. So we're going to be able to post that in a couple weeks after that. Then we're playing Launch Music Conference in April for 4 days. And that's going to be a great time. That Kill Switch Engage is going to be playing. We're playing with Clutch, Kill Switch Engage, and there's a couple other bands that they announced. We don't know exactly where we're going to be put yet, but that's something we're really like itching to find out, like where we're going to be at, because that's all organized through our record label. CI Records, they're the ones that own that event, and they're the ones that book the bands and everything. And it'll be my first time playing it. The guys before I joined the band, they did it when they first signed with them, and they played with Emarosa. So that was pretty cool. But we have some like pretty awesome opportunities that kind of just fallen into our laps, which is like validation that like the music's getting out there to people and people are enjoying it.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely starting with Friday, I'm really excited to do these acoustic versions of these songs because I just love it. I love live acoustic music because it's all live recordings too. It's not going to sound perfect. It's going to sound live, which is like super cool in a really chill environment. And we're going to have videos for each one of those. We're doing there's 2 covers. One of them's already out. We did it like a year ago, but we're putting it on the EP. It was a Billie Eilish cover. I think I sent that to you like
nice. Love Billie Eilish.
So we put that on there as well. But it kind of worked out like serendipitously in a perfect way because next week we're playing at Icarus Brewing in Lakewood with The Ones You Forgot, which they're a super great band. If you're into like pop punk, that old school stuff, they are. You should really check them out. I know you will love them. They just started.
Okay, so send me links. Send me links.
They started releasing new music, and they're going to coming out with an album too. Actually, no, it's the EP release party is what we're playing, so it'll drop that night.
Okay.
But the day before we play the show, their lead singer Jenna, she featured on our song Blossom, and we're releasing Blossom, the acoustic version, the night before. Kind of like as a testament for her doing that for us. It's like, oh, it's right before the show, so we're going to be doing that.
So a lot of these are dropping kind of all at once around the same time.
Yeah, we're doing it like a week at a time because it's mostly stuff that we did on the album, and we pushed that pretty hard. So this was kind of just like something we wanted to do. It's not something we really have to do. Just because like we love playing, we love creating, and we love like breaking down the songs and playing them a little bit differently. Because that's kind of like the good thing about us as a group is that even though our influences are kind of scattered all over the place, we like the same things in music, which is really bizarre. Like all of us have different favorite bands. We can't really come to like, there's no one collective favorite band of us all. I guess Coheed would be like the one that everybody unilaterally loves as a group. But we have 2 new members. We have our new drummer, Caleb, and John Dalton on guitar, which they were both from a band called Adventure, which was pretty big. And now we poached them as free agents, and now they're on our team, and they're monsters, and they're crushing it. And it's like, it's just so inspiring. Every time we get together to practice, it's like the energy is just so good with everything.
So you have an amazing band where you got, like you said, free agents on like draft day, and then you got so you have the music, you have the band, you have the audience. Is there a point that you think where you guys do hit the next level and then you question going back to school, be like, wait a minute, we have something here and maybe I should take the opportunity? Or do you think that opportunity might always be there?
It's the landscape. So it's challenging, right? Because there's that, because you have like the illusion of what that is, right? And I have it too. And if that happens with the Foo Fighters, if Metallica says, come on tour with it, like I'm dropping my life.
Yeah, of course. You need to not like that.
However, the reality of that is the more realistic thing. And I think we're totally capable of doing something like that, is that the behind the scenes stuff of how that stuff works, I've been finding out about what that looks like. There's certain cases where if you get asked to like support a band on a tour, like some bands pay for that slot.
Yeah.
Sometimes you obviously get asked because your music's really good. The label's interested in you. Signing to a label gives you those opportunities to tour with those bands on a certain tour. We each have careers. I'm in between careers, but with me going to school, like that's my main focus. Our main songwriter and lead guitar player, Anthony, he's an elementary school teacher. So I think in a perfect world, we'd be able to balance careers and do that at the same time, like in the summer times, which worked
Yeah.
great with me, and I didn't expect it to be that way. But yeah, we know that we're definitely capable of that, and that we'd be have as good of an opportunity as anybody else. We're just playing music and we're writing when we can, as often as we can, because it's fun.
Yeah.
We don't have a specific goal in mind. Everything that happens is really just like, great, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I would love for that to happen. But it's, if I could just continue to play big shows and just play to great crowds, like that's enough for me.
That's just the dream.
Yeah, and I think I think it will probably. I think we're going to get an opportunity at some point to have to make a really hard decision about what we'd like to do about if we get asked to support a band on a tour. Like there's a lot of bands that we look up to that have listened to our stuff, and they like it. And that's like that again. That's a validating thing to where we're like, all right, we know we have a sound that can be played at that level where they can appreciate that. And it's like, all right, so we're just going to continue to keep writing, playing music, and leading the charge and helping these smaller bands that might want to get a start. We're going to be one of those bands that helps them get started if they ever need an opportunity. We're always around to help. We love answering questions. We do that at shows all the time. But yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping it happens, but
So when you have you sent me, I believe it was your linktree. Is everything? What is your biggest social media presence right now?
Probably Instagram. Yeah.
Okay. And for Instagram, I don't know if that's on the linktree. I see.
There's like a logo up top.
Oh, all right. There it is. Okay. So, all right. Have you had any people message you guys in, like, I won't say inappropriate ways, or message you guys like do you have haters as well? Or just...
Oh yeah, but not a lot. It's maybe I've seen maybe like 5 in the past couple of years.
Okay.
Especially when our previous drummer George was in the band, he ran like the TikTok stuff because he has a huge presence on TikTok on his own.
Yeah.
And he would make a lot of the TikTok content. And there was like a song that he clipped, and somebody said like, he said like, you guys are stuck in the Warped Tour days, like time to grow off or something like that. And I was like, that's a good thing, I think. But he didn't say it sucked. But nothing like so bad that it made me question like what I'm like doing at all. I've never had anything that bad, which is nice. And I kind of think I'm worried about when it's gonna happen. Like somebody's just gonna be like, you suck. But no, we've had like, there's some obviously weird accounts that message you, and they end up being real people, and they're sending some like weird shit, but nothing like bad, nothing crazy.
I forget who it was. Someone messaged me about, I don't even know if I could say it. Just like there's well, I'll do a lighter version. Somebody the other day was saying that I was streaming for like a while, and the people that I live with were like in bed already, so I didn't want to like wake them up. So I'm like whispering at the audience, and I was like making a sandwich, and someone comments like, "I want to be the sandwich you never finish making." And so it's just like, oh, Chavez, the way you whisper make the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. And I was like, okay.
Holy shit. Well, dude, you have like the craziest thing. You have people getting tattoos of you.
Yeah, that was wild.
Dude, that's like unreal.
Only one so far. Only one person has the real Randy Chavez. I think
one more than 99.9% of civilization has never experienced.
Yeah, and so that had to make me, like, I don't want to say become a better person. It just made me. It has to make me, like, I can't do anything bad now for the rest of my life, because if I do, then that person will have like, oh, he's a drug dealer, he's a murderer. You know, I'm watching a lot of Breaking Bad now, so I'm just my mind's just going to those places. Yeah, like what happens when one day someone gets a tattoo of you or the band? What happens when you go out and you have somebody that? How do you react to that? What do you do?
one, I'd probably cry because I'd be so like blown away that I left an impact like that on somebody. We've had like people come up to us and talk about like the lyrics, and like I'll never forget, we had a guy come up to us and we were playing like it was like in the daytime, it was like a shit slot. And like it was great, like any chance you get to play is great, but it wasn't like the most ideal situation. So it was like and we didn't play our best. And there was a guy that came up to us and he was like, your music got me through such a tough time. And he's like, my friend, and he said his friend passed away and that he was like having like suicidal thoughts. And he's like, your music like brought me out of that. And it's like stuff like that's crazy because you just forget that people are listening and people like actually give a shit. So it's because like everybody goes through that imposter syndrome stuff, especially with social media now. Yeah. Like I have a hard time of posting anything about myself, even though I know it benefits me and what I want to do. Like, I don't want to come off as a guy that is like self-absorbed, and it's really hard to like, what's the word? Balance that. Yeah. Because I see so many people that do it for the wrong reasons, and I don't want to do it for the wrong reasons. I want to do it so I can hit as many people as possible when I have something really cool that I want to share with everybody. I just want to get it out there to as many people as humanly possible. Yeah. That's my biggest objective. I don't care about fame. I don't care about, the opportunities that come with that. I literally care about just being respected by as many people as possible for the things that I've been a part of, because that's ultimately a representation of me as a human being. And I'd like to think that the stuff that we create and have created so far, and even the stuff that I wasn't a part of creating but now get to play, that's all a representation of me. And I wear that with, I feel the weight of that, whether or not I should or not. I feel like it makes me a better professional in whatever avenue I go down, having that as like my identity and keeping that in the back of my head as like, I am the representative of this, that it helps a lot. But yeah, I'd probably cry if somebody had a tattoo of me, because I'd be like, wow, I can't believe I mean that much to somebody to get a tattoo.
When that person said that to you about your lyrics getting them through a really hard time, did they say which song, or they say just your music in general?
I think it was Heaven, which like I didn't write the lyrics for that or any of these songs, but that's like the best part about this band is like, even though we have like various not assigned roles, but we have roles that each of us are good at, we just like filled the gaps with. Like, it's such a collaborative thing. Whenever we do have something to say, it's always taken and like absorbed and really respected. But no, I think he came up to Kevin and he said that after the show, and I like just overheard it. And yeah, Heaven's like the one that everybody really like goes to, and that's one of the older ones, which it's a great song. It's the one we close with all the time. Yeah, they did there's a live video on our YouTube of when they played Warped Tour for whatever leg of the tour that they were on, and you could see like all the crowds and stuff that they were playing to, and it's overdubbed with that song because it was the song that was really getting a lot of traction back then, which it still does consistently very well. But yeah, I believe it was that one.
Do you guys ever post some of like your more popular stuff, just like clips of it on TikTok and clips of it on YouTube Shorts?
Yeah, absolutely. We posted the first single that came out from the new album about 2 years ago was in a TikTok that got like 500,000 views, and it shot up our numbers overnight.
Nice.
It was crazy. I think we went up to like 15,000 listeners a month on Spotify for a while.
Sweet.
Which is like a blessing and a curse, because it's so hard to maintain that without paying to be on playlists anymore. Yeah. So you're literally like playing, I don't know if you know how this works, but you're literally playing the lottery every time you have a release come out now with Spotify because you have that visible indicator of how many listeners per month you have, right?
Yeah.
And that could dissuade or persuade somebody to stay onto your profile and check out your stuff, depending on if you have a lot of listeners or not. I know I'm cynical, and I've seen a band that has less than 100 monthly listeners. And I'm like, I'm not going to listen to this shit when I know that's not right. I know that's not right, but I think that way. We're all human. Like we all think in a way like that. It's okay. Now, the way that it works is that you essentially submit the song before it releases. So the stuff that we have releasing on Friday, I've submitted that to Spotify for them to evaluate to see if it's worthy getting on one of those playlists that has like 1 million followers on it. And that happens all the time for bands. That's how bands blow up all the time. But the problem is, as soon as you get taken off that playlist or one of these playlists that people curate as like a professional, and that you pay to stay on it per month for a fee, as soon as you get pulled off of there, your numbers come down. And that's how they're able to make a living. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's different than what it used to be in the past, because now you have like this badge that it's like a scarlet letter in a way that everybody gets to see and judge you on. So
you haven't done any like paid collabs like that? You haven't done paid to be on any list?
We have never paid to be on a playlist. I am proud to say that. And
what about paid collabs? Like if you want to go and say like, hey, we should do feature us in your video or something.
We had an opportunity with one of my favorite bands to do that with their vocalist, and timelines just didn't work out. I'm not going to say who it was just because you never know. He was totally into the song. And I was super excited for it to happen. It just didn't work out because he was going on tour at the time and we weren't like prepared enough to do it at the right time. Because essentially what it was is we were going to have him record his parts from California, and he was going to send us his tracks back and we were going to mix it all together for the final product. And like, just wasn't like the right opportunity, right time. It just like, it could have happened if we chose to, but we didn't want to rush something like that. No. We're not going to just rush to do it because of X person. We want to do it because we want to like do it the right way and get the most out of it. But they're like huge right now. And it's like, man, it would have been nice to have that tag on our profile right now, because it probably would have done a lot. Yeah. But who knows in the future? We have a slight relationship now, so it's like, okay, for the future, because our new stuff's going to be so heavy. I can feel it in my bones, and I've heard some of the stuff that we've been working on. We've jammed through it a couple times, and it's heavy. Yeah, it's gonna be sick.
I can't wait for. So where is so summertime? You said is like the best. Like that's the times where you guys can really play a lot at a lot of. So probably this summer I'll be able to go and probably catch a few shows. Where do you typically play? At least in the summertime.
Just depends, man. Like we'll play a basement and then we'll play a huge venue like how we're playing at House of Independence. Like we're playing a basement show after that up in New Brunswick, and it's gonna be sick. It's one of like one of the more renowned basement venues, which sounds hilarious. Like there's like an underground videographer guy that goes to random shows in the Philly area, well, the tri-state area. Actually, he goes all over the country now. His name's Hate56. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I have not.
A lot of live content you see on YouTube of like mid-tier bands that are breaking out, like a band like Turnstile. I don't know if you've heard of them. They got nominated for a Grammy on Sunday. Oh, nice. He videoed them years before they became mainstream. Yeah. And he'll just randomly show up to a show. Bands don't pay him. He randomly shows up to a show. It could be at a BFW. It could be at the Wells Fargo Center. And he has like this underground access where he has like this relationship where, well, not a relationship. He has like this respect amongst people that they'll let him do it because he's doing it for free for the band. And he has a Patreon channel where he puts those videos up where anybody can see it. And that's how he makes the money. But he gives small bands a great platform for nothing to blow up. And he's done stuff at this basement venue. So I'm like, please show up to this. That would be amazing. You never know.
So is there, I mean, I guess he's there for the band. Like I would like, if I go and I get drunk and I like go to Walmart beforehand and buy a bunch of women's panties and throw them at you, is that going to dissuade him from?
Absolutely not. It would probably make it even better.
Okay. I'll be waiting. I'll do it.
You know, a lot of like those videos on TikTok of like people moshing at like a VFW hall. He's pretty much taken most of those videos.
Oh, that's epic.
Yeah, so that's like the kind of environments he's in. That's the guy that like captures that stuff. So you throwing panties at us in a basement in New Brunswick, right near the college, like that would be definitely encouraged. I want to be TikTok famous for 5 minutes.
Let's do it. What has been the best show that you've ever been to?
That I've been to and like seen.
Yeah. Or I mean, I guess if you played it and it was the best that you've ever been to and played, I guess that would count as well.
Dude, the best, I feel like, maybe tell me if you agree with this. Usually the best things in life that make the biggest impact on you are the things that you did not necessarily want to do in the moment before doing it.
Yeah, it's like you didn't expect it to happen. It's like, oh, yeah.
I had that because there was a band years ago that I was not a huge fan of, and that band was Linkin Park.
Okay.
The reason being why I didn't really care for Linkin Park during the time is because I thought to myself, like, there's no way they can sound that good live. It sounds too produced. There's no way they can sound good live. There's no way. That was my thought process why I didn't like them. Stupid. So I got tickets to go see Incubus on the Honda Civic tour back in 2012, I think it was.
Way back. Okay, before military.
Yeah. And it was a group of people. I wanted to see Incubus. That's why I bought these tickets. That's why I wanted to go. I was like, after Incubus is done, I will leave. Because like I don't care about Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Everybody in the group loves Linkin Park. They were like, just stay for the Linkin Park set. Just stay. I'm like, oh, whatever. Okay, I'll stay. Thinking it's not going to like blow me away.
Yeah.
It was life-changing.
Why? What
happened? It sounded way better than the album. His voice is so powerful when he screams. And that just like opened my eyes to like not think that way about something. I became a huge Linkin Park fan after that. And I guess the other thing about is that it was raining and it was an outside show. And there was just something about that when you're singing like in the end and the rain's coming down, you're just soaked and everybody is like together. Awesome. Like that was like one of the greatest shows ever because of the fact I didn't expect it to be so good. And I was like, holy shit. But Tool's my favorite band to go see live. So, and I saw Iron Maiden when I was 14 with my mom. So that's also pretty dope.
Yeah. Music wise, I have two things. One was 2019, I think, so it was 2019. I was with my friend Jill, and we were going to see Lindsey Sterling and Amy Lee from Evanescence in Long Island.
You're the reason I like Lindsey Sterling, by the way.
I'm so glad.
And Kate too.
Oh, good. Yeah, tell her that hi. I
will.
So we go there and we take some Lucy beforehand, and I don't know why I was so hungry and all I had was mozzarella cheese, so I had a block of mozzarella cheese, and I'm thinking like I hope I don't like have to poop later because but anyway the Lucy hits us as we get to like the venue from the Uber, and it's nice though. It's summertime, it's a light rain. I was like, I want to get some nachos, and we get the giggles, start giggling. I see a friend there, and then the seats were a lot closer than we thought, and just it really started to hit us when she's playing just a great song, just violin, and just I don't know, the rain coming down, like that was really cool. I'll never forget that. And then the other time was what I mentioned before, Simple Plan at the Paramount with my friend Elizabeth. My friend Lou was there too. And like in the middle of their set, I didn't know they were going to do this, but there was like, hey guys, we just want to say thanks for coming out. Huntington's the best, and we hope you like the rest of the song. And they started playing What's New Scooby Doo, and I just lost my mind. I was like,
that's so sick.
Yeah, that was great. Those are probably two of my favorites.
I love live shows, man. Yeah. It's just so great. I'm going to see Corey Wong at the end of the month, which if you haven't listened to him, you should definitely check him out. It's all instrumental stuff, which I know is like kind of scary for some people that there's no vocals in it.
I love instrumental stuff.
All right, great. Because it's like funk. It's like big band funk, but it's super tight, super fun. And You ever heard of a band called Wolfpack? They're kind of big.
I don't believe so.
Okay, he's the guitar player for that band, and he goes out and tours solo, and he plays some of their stuff.
Yeah.
But Corey goes and plays last year, and I got tickets to go see him with my wife. And there's a bunch of friends of mine that ended up going to that show. And we all met up at the TLA to go see. I think you've seen shows at the TLA, right? In Philly,
I probably, I think the most one I remember is the Electric Factory.
Oh yeah, it's called something else now. I hate the name of it.
Oh, all right. I'm sure I've been there wherever, yeah. but I just don't not remember it right now.
But all right, so he played it last year, and I took my wife with me, and she's a huge Wolfpack fan, and I didn't tell her until we got to the show. I was like, "There's not going to be any lyrics to this." Okay. She's like, "Oh, okay." And she likes music, but she don't like I do. So I was like, and I'd never seen him live before, and I didn't know how this was going to go. I was excited to go see him. But the entire crowd, like 80% of them is like guitar players, because he's like a guitar player. You have comedians.
Yeah.
He's a guitar player. And he plays, and it's amazing. My wife's having a great time. She's like, that's one of the best shows I've ever been to. It was so much fun. But she was like, after every, like, there was like little motifs that they would do, and you would just hear the crowd go, like a pocket of the crowd go, oh, and it was all the guitar players, because they were like, oh, he did something cool. But he's coming around on the 24th, and he's touring with like my favorite bass player to ever live. So it makes it even better. Like, okay. I bought tickets immediately, but I'm taking my stepfather with me, who's a bass player, and he's the guy that like got me into playing bass. Yeah. And we've really never been to a show together. And he's always wanted to see this bass player named Victor Wooten. So that was my birthday gift to him, is that we're going to go. And now I have like a group of 15 people going. It's going to be nice. So much fun. Yeah. I can't wait, man. You should check out their stuff. It's really fun. It's like just good, happy music.
I will. So I really do love instrumentals. I think partly because back when I was in an orchestra, that's something that just happened to, like, I know we only played.
Appreciate this then. It's not orchestral, but it's very like charted out in that way. Like, they're all studio musicians, and they're all music nuts, like Berkeley grads and what so have you. So they're very like, they're like top tier guys, and it's just that it caters to that appreciation, if that's what you're into, for sure.
Someone I just got into was, and like I never like knew of this guy before. Do you know Yanni?
I know of him, yeah.
Yeah, he's so like a lot of his stuff's just instrumental, or I think all this stuff is just instrumental. And I was like, oh wow, this is really cool.
Dude, he sells at the Wells Fargo Center in MSG. Like nobody really knows who he is.
Yeah, everybody sells out.
Everybody knows the name. They're like, Yanni, like he's that music guy, right? It's like the guy who plays cello.
Yo-Yo Ma?
Yo-Yo Ma. It's kind of like that way, like where everybody knows that they're important, but nobody knows like what exactly they sound like.
Yeah. Yes. So there's a lot of fun stuff. Like, I mean, when how does, you mentioned Kate before, how does she feel about your endeavors, and does she feel that at some point, because you're about to be 30 this year, it's like, hey, it's nice when you're in your 20s, but at some point I kind of want you to spend more time with me. I kind of want you to go and
I make conscious efforts. It's not easy. Like, she definitely sacrifices time for me, and she sacrifices things to make me happy, because she sees how happy this makes me. It's like you have to balance it, especially being a married guy.
Yeah, it's really hard.
You have to be cognizant of when you're taking too much and when you're not giving enough. And as long as you can balance that out, as long as you're with somebody that respects that, then I feel like it's good, because there's a lot of people that are in relationships where there is no compromise with that. I've seen it happen where it's like, where, you know, like, cause you gotta, like, you're not going to agree on everything. Right. And her and I are kind of opposites in a lot of things, but the core things like political views, money, things like that. Those things we agree 100%. Like there's nothing we really disagree about with that stuff.
It's amazing.
But like, yeah, like she definitely has trouble sometimes when it's a late night on a Wednesday night and I'm like, I have to go practice and I'll be back at like midnight. Like, but you know what? Like I feel like as long as I'm aware of that and I don't take advantage of that, then we're good. Because I also have to make this. I have to be strategic on when I do that stuff, because if I do it all the time, like it's never going to work. Yeah. But you know, if I tell the guys like, hey, whenever we practice today, we have to hit these things so we don't have to get together all the time, because that's the difference. And it's not like this with every band. Some bands get together and they fuck off for 3 hours and they drink and they have a good time. Like we have a good time, but we're there to work. Like it is like a job. It is a job. It just sounds funny, like to say like that's like what I do for work.
It is.
Like, but that's the cool thing about it, is because like plenty of people, when you hear somebody say that they play music, you think one thing. You usually think, oh, they get together in a garage, they get together in a basement, they play some shitty blues tunes or cover band stuff, which that's the case for a lot of people. But you know, with us and like everything I do and the musicians I surround myself with, they all have like the same work ethic as I do, in terms of I don't like to party. I've never been a guy that likes to party. I like to be the reason why you party. Like that's why I play music. I get more satisfaction out of that. I don't hang out after shows usually. I go home. I love my house. I love hanging out with my dog and my wife. Like, you know, so it's all about like, because I think it's like an under talked about thing. And now you brought it up, I really like exploring this. There's a lot of people that give up on music and they give up on whatever their passion is because their spouse doesn't respect it. And maybe that's at a fault of your own because you don't respect their respect that they have for it. Like it's not something you're just supposed to be given. You have to give them a reason to want to respect that. And the amount that I work to maintain my persona in the community is that when I'm here and I'm playing with a goal in mind, and that's to not let anybody down and to have my shit together at all times. So I think because she sees the hours that nobody else sees, not even my bandmates see, she sees how much time I sacrifice on my own time when I do not want to make the thing happen. And like that's something like, especially doing content creation like you do and doing the investments that you've made, like people don't see the amount of legwork that you have to do behind the scenes. It sucks. I wish people could see that. And like, that's kind of a thing I want to do going forward with me as a musician, is I want to do like a backstage, like tour vlog thing where you see what it's like. You see what it is to get to a show and set up, like make it fun, not like I got to plug into this wall. Like I'm not going to do that. But like, I find that stuff fascinating because you can't find it anywhere. And people have so many questions about it.
It's a really good idea. Yeah. I'm surprised there's not that.
There is a couple of them, but it's more geared towards musicians that play already.
Yeah.
I want to do it for people that have no idea how to get started. I've had so many like my neighbor, she's 13 years old. And this is the coolest thing ever. I talked to her yesterday outside on the fence. And she said she's doing a school project on a band for a music class, and she's doing my band.
Oh, that's so cool.
She loves us. So, but I've given her this open door thing where whatever questions you have about music, as crazy as it may sound, like ask me and I'll give you the honest opinion, because I've been in your shoes where I don't know what to do to get started. And dude, she's writing music. She learned how to play guitar. Her sister plays violin and she does paid gigs. I think she's like 18 years old. She's like a senior in high school, and she's starting to get started with that and getting her feet wet with it. And it's so cool to see it, because like, I just see myself, like how exciting that crap is, like when it first starts to happen. So I want to start doing like the backstage tour vlog thing. Like whenever we go out on the road or something, I want to like have a camera there showing you what it's like, how shitty it is when you're like traveling around and like the downtime, the green room hangout, like when you're back there waiting to go on stage, how much time you put into getting your gear to and from the damn thing. The little things like that. Because I find it interesting, personally.
Yeah, it's a lot, especially like depending on how crazy your drummer is and how big of a setup that is. Like,
don't ever play drums.
Multiple trips just for that.
Don't ever play drums just for that reason. It's the worst.
Agreed. Yeah.
And then you got to help him break it all down because you feel bad. You're like, look at this guy struggling on his own. It sucks. I would hate to be a drummer.
Yeah, that sounds awful. It's so much stuff.
No, I can never do it. But yeah, man, it's fun. I love doing it, but man, it's tiring sometimes.
I like mentoring. Mentoring is that's a lot of fun when you get young people and they're like, you know that there's a lot of bumps in the road and you know where those bumps are and like, hey, you can pivot and avoid this and go. It's especially when you get someone that's eager to learn. That's really exciting.
Because like, and I think so many people they're just afraid to put themselves out there like that. Because there's people that are afraid to promote what they really want to do. Like there's people that are stuck in situations that might feel shunned and might remove themselves from the small opportunities they do have, and they don't want to risk it. Or, there's just people that just have no idea what they have to do. And it's great, like people like you, because like you've gone through more than anybody that I can kind of point to in terms of like unique experiences and able to flip those in a positive way. And I'd like to think I did that as well, but like obviously not like you have, but I get the same satisfaction that you're talking about in terms of like mentoring people. It's like I love seeing what I had in me in somebody else and being able to give them like the pieces of the bridge and connect it all together and let them walk to the other side and see it. Like, it's just, that's so much better than anything else. It's great.
I think also because like, I think your teachings like kind of live on, like, especially like when you go and especially like, the 18 to 13-year-old that they're probably going to do this. That 13-year-old could do this for 18 years or 17 years and then finally be the age that you are now. And then, you could, I don't know. I feel like people just get started. I mean, I know there's a bunch of people that don't really have a lot of hits or a lot of their stuff. They don't hit their stride until they're in their 30s or they're in their 40s. And finally,
dude, I don't feel like I hit my stride until 3 years ago. But like, because like I've had a lot of time to think about like life decisions that I made and the way I grew up and how my parents raised me. And I look at it in two ways. Some days I'm very pessimistic about. I'm like, why did that have to happen to me? Why did things have to go this way? Why couldn't I just do this then? But at the same time, it's like when you have a shitty thing happen to you and you're like, but I wouldn't change it for anything because I wouldn't have the perspective I do.
Yeah.
It just sucks. Like it's still hard to wrap your head around that. Like, man, why did I have to learn it that way? Because like I like I look at my time on active duty and I'm like, man, I feel like I wasted 7 years of my life sometimes. And I'm like, but if I never did that, I never would have met people like you. I would have never had the opportunity to change my perspective on things. I would never have been able to find out what I'm good at. I would never have had to, like, those things wouldn't exist. So I wouldn't be here no matter what. I needed to do those things. It just sucks because it's like such a huge gap of time.
Yeah.
Like there's a stigma with the 30s too that I hear all the time, and I have it right now. But like, why? It's so stupid.
I'll tell you this. 30 was exceedingly hard for me because I mean, at the time, losing my hair, still losing it. Like, I did not have the body that I once did when I was 26, and it's harder to get back in shape. You can still do it. You still get back in shape, but it's just harder. And it's just, not young anymore. And then 31 was fine. 32 is fine. So like, for me, it was just that actual birthday of 30, and then. And the rest of the years have been fine. The rest of the time has been quite good.
Yeah, 30s, approaching 30s weird. It's like I don't know. I almost look at it like with me changing careers and having the success I'm having with like my creative side. It's almost like I feel like it's almost like a rebirth thing in a way, but it's also like, man, I just wish this could have happened 10 years ago. Like it's almost like I always knew that these things are the things I wanted to do, but I never knew I could go do it, kind of thing. Like I was a terrible student in high school. I never thought I'd ever want to go back to be a teacher. Now I go back to school and I have no problem going to school.
Yeah.
And I think it's like I needed to get out of the environment I was in. I needed to meet certain people to help me. But like turning 30 is just bizarre because it's just like a weird number because like for our entire childhood, for our generation, like I feel like we thought of 30 in a completely different way than what it is now.
Yeah. People were like getting married and having kids in their 20s. Like, and in the military, you see that a lot too, like Garrett, the Guthermans and all that they did. But I feel like when we were younger, everyone was married and had kids in their 20s. And, now it's a lot, that's been pushed up a lot to probably late 20s, early 30s.
And I feel like you just like expected to have more shit figured out by then. But I think like now, like I realize like I'm never going to figure it out. I'll be on my deathbed and I'll be reminded that I forgot to do something that day and I'll be like, "Duh," and I'll die. It's like that. I think that's like the real twisted shit is like that you realize that nobody has their shit figured out. Even the people that do have it figured out, they are figuring it out day by day. Even the most successful people in the world. And it's terrifying.
I feel bad because like I do work really hard, but I also get really lucky. And I have this, it's been shown me that sometimes I can kind of like fall upwards. And I feel like there are definitely some people that are more talented or are smarter or maybe work just as hard as me. And they are so far back and behind like in their careers or their life. And it's like, oh, I don't know. I have that like guilt. I don't know. Yeah. But do you ever get that?
All the time. I had it during my military career while we were in together because do you remember Hall? Tall ass dude?
There were two Halls. Ian. There was he was in Ramp, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He's really funny. Yeah.
All right. So him and I went to tech school together and we got to the base at the same time. And we like you remember like when you first get to the base and you're in processing and you're like all together on computers getting your shit set up. Yeah. So it was me, him, and Dodd, and so I forget the other guys.
Preston Tyler Dodd.
Yeah.
So what do I remember his whole name? All right.
So yeah, why did you say his entire name?
I don't know. We deployed together, and he used to Naruto run through Ramp, and so on the way to the 60Ks, he'll just Naruto run through Ramp. And I was like. And then when I was, he was part of the team that was replacing me on deployment, and I was showing him dispatch, and I had some music on in the background, and I think he was like 19 or 20, like he was young.
Yeah, he's young.
And I had, I had like Green Day, I had like Avril Lavigne, I had like Sum 41, and he's like, and just asked me very seriously, but also nonchalantly, he's just like, "Why do you listen to such old music?" And I was like. Like
you bastard.
Yeah, so anyway, that's my relationship. He's a cool dude. Sorry, keep going. You're saying.
So when I met Hall and I met Dodd, I'll never forget this. And because I think Hall said that was it him or was it somebody else? It was somebody there. I think it was him. But he said, "Yeah, I heard somebody tell me that like your whole career is just based on luck." And it was like, if you start getting unlucky in the beginning, you're just going to be unlucky for the whole time. And I was like, fuck, man, 4 years is a long time to be unlucky. I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle that if shit doesn't go my way. Things started to go my way in the military. And I was like, all right, great. I got really lucky where I had a great deployment. I never had to like eat the kind of shit that a lot of people had to that we know. Because like there's so many people that not everybody's just going to be able to get great opportunities. Like I became like a training instructor and then I became a UDM.
Yeah.
Like
nice job.
Cushy jobs. Deployed once where I got a great deployment, like I said.
Yeah.
And I start like after I looked at my career and where it had gone, and I'm like, I kind of feel guilty for the fact that like since I never liked the military and I never liked being in and how lucky I got, and like I worked hard to put myself in those positions, but it's definitely luck to get those spots. I kind of like felt guilty that somebody that loved it as a career and wanted to do those things might have never not have had the opportunity just because they weren't in the right spot at the right time. Like I was always good at being visible to leadership, and like people talk about like kissing ass. Like I'll kiss your ass all day if it gets me a good schedule, I'll do it. And weekends off, I'll do it. But like at the same time, it's, you know, you're just using the strengths of you as a person, of being able to talk to people, to be able to be there for people, to be dependable. It's those little things that really do set you apart, I feel like. And, you know, I feel like if you are cognizant of the fact that you are lucky, because there are things that you just have no say in and it just happens, I feel like the thing that you could do to get that karma back, or to spread good karma or whatever, is to just treat that thing with respect for everybody else in a way. Because like the way I've always like supervised people and will continue to do that is that, you know, because of how vocal I was about not being in love with the military, like I will do my job and I will show up on time and I'll do those things. But like, I've always been a proponent of like, when I'm home, I'm home. Like I understand the core values and stuff like that, but like it's still a job. You know what I mean? And I always asked my people that if you worked for me, I always told them, I'm like, if you give me no reason within the parameters of the structure that we operate and live in to not give you a hard time, I'm not going to do it, you know? And because that mentality spreads outward as well for as those people go forward in their careers and relationships, becoming adults. So that's like the thing that I was trying to do in the positions that I was, to make sure that that perception of me being in that position of what they might think of it and utilizing it in a proper way that I thought was a proper way. Hopefully I did that, you know, that's what I'm trying to do. But yeah, like even in just like getting in this band, like I think about how lucky I am to be in this band sometimes, because they all live an hour away from me.
Yeah.
There's no way I would have met them otherwise, unless the things that happened the way they happened. It never would have happened.
Yeah.
And now I just get to play these great tunes all the time, and I get to hang out with these dudes and travel, and like it's just bizarre. It almost feels like it happened for a reason.
Yeah.
I tell myself that a lot. I'm like, it had to have happened for a reason. It had to have.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's weird. I feel like there are just certain people that we just fall into things, but I also like to think that it's also because in a way you do deserve it somehow, you know?
Yeah. There's definitely that feeling of, okay, I'm a good person. I've never done anything really bad in my life, at least not to people that didn't deserve it. And I try to live the best that I can. And yeah, I feel I don't know why I'm thinking of this now. There's a really old trailer for a video game, like a wrestling video game in like 2004, Judgment Day. And and it had this really weird, like, it had like a weird voice and it had a weird intro. It's like, how will you be judged when it's over on the way you lived your life? And it went through like this 90-second monologue. And then at the end of it, it says,
deep,
like,
dude, that's deep for a trailer for a fucking wrestling video.
like, how will we be judged for our behavior here? Do we protect the innocent or exploit the vulnerable? And then at the end, it says, like, or will we be welcomed unconditionally for the hell we've already endured? I was like, oh, maybe that's it. Maybe that, a lot of the BS we had to put up with in the military when we were in 24-hour ops, and you're just like out in the cold and the rain and deployments get hot and it sucks. Maybe we're being rewarded for that now. That's how our lives just got so good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Because like I also live my life with the mentality that I don't want to ever regret anything or not taking opportunities. So that's like I'm very aware, or I try to make a point to step out of my comfort zone anytime I have a chance to do it. If it's for the right reason, of course, like, because I never want to be on like thing I always talk about is I never want to be on my deathbed and think, man, I wish I could do this right now, but I can't. I don't want to ever be like in that position where it's not I won't do it, it's I can't do it now. That's like my worst fear with anything.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen with some things, but I want the things that I need to have in my life. I don't want to have to think like I can't do that now. I don't want that to be the case.
Yeah. There's a show called BoJack Horseman. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
It's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's so good. One of the characters, Mr. Peanut Butter, he always says, like in one of the seasons, one of the episodes, he said, "I was told early in my career to take every opportunity, so that's what I'm going to do," and it's worked. So worked for me, worked for him. Fictional cartoon character.
I've told like people have asked me about like just being like to be a working musician, like how do you do it? Like how do you meet the right people? Because there's just like there's such like a cesspool of just like awful people in music.
I can imagine.
And like I'm fortunate to work with a guy that I haven't talked about. I probably should have talked about him way earlier than this. The guy I have like a party duo, right? So we're like a blend of a DJ and a band. It's two guys. It's me and my partner, who it's all branded for. We're called the Kingsley Party Duo. And we like play to backing tracks that have musical parts ripped out. So I'm more of like the musical one. I switch between playing bass and guitar the whole night. He'll play guitar on certain things. He'll play bass on certain things, but he's mostly the front person. He's the vocalist. And another thing where I just got lucky, we met like a year ago and we played probably 100 shows together and it's just been perfect. And, you know, we just like connected like immediately. And it's just really weird because there's just so many shit bags in music, especially with the cover band scene in terms of agencies and taking money. Gatekeepers that you can't get into certain venues with, where it's just like an eye roll because it's like, guys, we're playing covers here. Like, take it a little bit too seriously. Like, it's great, like it's kick-ass money, but it's also like, guys, like, why does it have to be so toxic? For what reason? Like, why? And him and I, like, we're completely self-driven in terms of like, there's no other hands in the honeypot. It's minimal stuff, and it's like so crazy how lucky I got to be able to work with him now. And that's like a relationship I'm going to have for the rest of my life because it's like him and I work so well together.
Oh, that's good. It's getting the groove.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like just how things just happen like that. I really think it's a testament though, to just being prepared at all times and making sure that your shit's good to go when the opportunity does come. Like, what's that saying that somebody said? It's like, luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of truth to that now that like things have swung in my direction. Because it's like, I don't know how else it would have happened because I'm not the most talented musician ever by any means. And I don't want to be. I don't play to be the best. I don't ever have that goal in mind. I just play to play, like to be able to play with great people. Like that's the best part about it, is playing with great people.
I understand that 100%. I have zero acting experience. I have zero. Well, I guess now I can't say that.
Yeah, now you have a resume. I forgot to ask you about this, so please add to this.
So last year, this guy Punch Pavle Panamerovich, he's always like in the comments. He's always in like on Instagram, and he messaged me like, and I don't know why. Again, this just randomly happened. I get a lot of message requests all the time. I can't view them all. I happen to view this guy's message, and 12 messages later, I finally answer him. Felt bad about that. I was like, hey, great comments, whatever. We get to talking, and he says, I know this guy Eric that's like a producer. He did The Staircase on HBO, and he did a couple of other things. And he's like, he's got something coming up. And he's like, I mentioned your name, and I want you to be an extra because I watch you on YouTube. I really, really like you. I want you to get into this world. And I was like, okay, so.
Yeah, you have to.
So last year we did a thing called Looks Can Kill. And what he does is he makes something and then he sells it and then you get paid for it after he sells it. So I'll get an IMDb page this year and I'll get and part of the reason why he messaged that to me is because I interviewed this woman named Darcy Donovan, who's yeah, so she's like, hey, during the interview, she's like, hey, I want to get you for a movie I'm doing. I was like, okay. So we're gonna do that this year, and that's why he wanted me for that. And then he says, hey, I have this other director buddy friend. They're doing, I don't know if I can say the name of it. They're doing something later this year, supposed to be about like a jewelry heist in New York, and it's like you're gonna play this strong Spanish security guard.
Yeah, that's so cool.
He's like, you need to get jacked. Like, okay, I'll get jacked.
There's your motivation. There you go.
So I hope the Darcy Donovan thing comes out before this because I was supposed to have long hair for the Darcy Donovan thing, and this one he didn't say, so we'll see. But yeah, it's like I had zero acting experience, and suddenly get an IMDb page, and I'm going to start to do stuff. So
yeah, dude, and like that's so cool, man. Like that, but that's how things happen like that. Like you hear anybody in, especially like the entertainment industry, in terms of like I love comedians. I always listen to comedians. Usually that's how it happens for comedians and actors, is that some random opportunity comes up, but it's because you've been doing the right things, that you're in that right spot at that right time. And that's really awesome that happened to you, because it's a testament to the people that are watching you and the people that like respect your opinion. So that's pretty amazing, man.
You were talking about imposter syndrome before, and last year when I had this, well, in 2021, I had this guy Ernie come up to me at Designer Con. It's like a Comic-Con, but for like small like collectors.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I really like your stuff. He introduced me. He messaged me a few months later saying, hey, I'm going to Mexico with my family. We'll be in New York for a night. I'd like to take you out to dinner. Yeah, sure. Gets to know me. And then he says, like a week later, he's like, there's this thing called VCon, where Gary Vaynerchuk is putting on like a Vaynerchuk Comic-Con for his NFTs and for his stuff. It's like, I want you to go and tell me about it. I was like, okay. And he's like, yeah, I'll buy your ticket. This guy, Juan, and this guy, Greg, they have a hotel. You'll have your own room. Just go there. They'll show you around. And then just tell us how you feel about it. Report on. I was like, okay. So I get, free flight there, free hotel. And he doesn't tell me who these guys are. And Juan is really cool. He's part of the creator team that created Mamitas. It's a drink big down in Florida and big, I think, in Ohio.
Really?
Yeah, so he created like a drink, and I haven't tasted it yet. Apparently, it's really good. And he didn't. And Greg was Greg Schultz, who's Biden's campaign manager, and like,
yeah, I remember that. Okay,
so it's like
I was trying to figure out how you got that connection. Now I get it.
Yeah, that was it. And now like we're friends, and we all just text, and it's like, guys, y'all know I'm just a YouTuber, right? And then just to be around like powerful people, it's like, oh man, like I feel like I don't belong. Feel like I don't.
Yeah, I get that to a lesser degree. Obviously, not with people like that. That's pretty tough. That's pretty tough resumes to be able to feel comfortable in. But I get that, like when I play with like musicians that are way better than me, I'm like, I do not deserve to be in this room right now. But dude, that's amazing. And you definitely have, like, you're more than a YouTuber, by the way.
Yeah, but I mean, on paper, it's like, oh, what do you do for a living?
Yeah, I get it.
Oh, make videos,
I have Dashie in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of all my videos. Yeah, so I mean, obviously they noticed, like, okay, you're pretty good at math, and okay, we've gone over this, and okay, you've made some really good investments, and you haven't been wrong yet. So like I think they were, yeah, and they're also just really nice people. But now that like you're in the world, like and like you said, it's really hard. Like my friend Justin really tried his hand at music a while back, and he said there's a lot of people like where you try and join this band, and then when they go and practice, you like 20% of the time they're practicing. The other time is like, oh, hey, I learned this song, let me show you. And it's like, that's not really helping the band. And it's like, not that not a lot of them, he said a lot of them are lazy. A lot of them just don't have that drive. So yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You get two things with music specifically. You get musicians that are great, that, the thing I've noticed is that it's usually with these people, they're a great musician and they post videos and they're like, holy shit, why isn't this guy famous yet? They're like a dime a dozen, to be honest with you. And then you're like, let's jam sometime, let's play together, let's try and like, let's see what happens. And you schedule something and you move forward with it, and then they bail. It's because they're very insecure about playing with people. Yeah. Or you have the other thing where like what you just talked about is like you get together, but nobody really knows. There's no like leader in the room to be able to direct where the energy's supposed to go. And you're waiting for somebody to do that. I've experienced that 100 times over. And it made me like those situations are why I didn't play music for a long time. Like while I was in the military, like before I met Brian, I barely played because those were the people I was getting linked up with. And I was like, what the fuck's the point of this? Like, this is just a waste of time. I was like, it's like, I'm glad that I'm able to do it, but like, obviously I can't expend more time into this because it's not going to go anywhere. And then when I started playing with Brian and like I saw how much he loved to do it, it made me work harder. And then, you know, by the time like when he had to move away and we stopped playing together, like I had established my identity. I was like, this is part of my core. And when I met my guys in Poeta, that's where like we get together and practice. And it's like, every practice is the same. We get together, get our shit set up. We go right to our instrument and we just make something up. Like we jam for, sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's an hour, but it's just continuous. We're just playing. Yeah. Making stuff up. And then after that energy goes away, it's like, let's practice set, run through the set. If it's tight as fuck, we'll do it again. So that's an hour gone by. And then after that, we're like, damn, we sound kick ass. Yeah. And then the energy levels are high. And it's like, then we can just sit around and bullshit. But there's a lot of bands that can't do that. And it's like, I take it for granted sometimes. Like you bringing that up reminded me that that's something that exists. I forget that exists half the time. It's, because I've played with people where like I was really excited to play with them, and like they just don't have. It's not right. There's something not right about it. It's weird. Or people just bail last second and they don't consider the time of somebody else. Yeah. Which sucks because like it's a job. Whether or not you're getting paid to do it, it's a job to me. So yeah, because like. Everybody's got stuff going on. If you can't respect that somebody else has allocated this finite amount of time in their day to do this and they're trying to maximize it, like that's the most disrespectful thing you could do to somebody. Agreed. And it's like, but I feel so bad for people that like that's all they know is like that disappointment all the time. And they never got to experience like the satisfaction of being with people that really care. Like it's so powerful, man. Like it's like a drug. It really is. It really is.
Speaking of drugs, you know, I feel like music sometime and drugs can tend to go hand in hand. Have you ever had experiences with people like, hey, this band is pretty good, but these guys really like to party. Like they like to stay hang out after, drink a lot. You know they're they're riding the white horse.
Of course.
And I assume like 95% of the time it makes that band worse. But have you ever seen it where like, oh, these guys, this has made them better for whatever reason? Nope. Really? 100% of the time it's been worse.
No, and like David Crosby died not too long ago from Crosby, Stills and Nash, and he actually went viral after he died. And that's one of the things he talked about, like a Q&A session. Was there was because I guess he did a lot of drugs back in the day during the 70s. And somebody asked him, like, how much did doing drugs help your writing process as a musician? And he said, 0. And if that guy's saying that, I take his word for it. Yeah. I have definitely seen, and I have friends of mine that's part of it. Like there's people that can make it work. I don't believe anybody when they say that drugs have helped them become better.
In the music world. Yeah. And obviously we're talking about like hard drugs like cocaine and drugs.
Yeah, like I don't think that's possible. I just don't. maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody can enlighten me, and that would be pretty cool because I just don't see how that could be a benefit.
Yeah.
You know, just because it's hard. Like it's really, you got to be really, it's attention to detail for really good shit, especially nowadays. And like, granted, like I bet you something that is related to drugs that somebody has done might have inspired something,
Yeah.
but that music's not getting written when you're under the influence of stuff. Absolutely not. The work comes in out like after hours with that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely, I know people that's definitely like, that's honestly like the number one part of it. And somehow they're able to make it work. I don't know how, but
yeah, I feel like a very small percentage of people have this ability. Like there's this one dude I knew back in the day, it was like 2010. He did heroin, and we're all waiting for this kid to like die. And he was like 22, 23, and he had a plumbing or chimney. He had some business where like he would go out, work from like 7 to 7, work 12 hours a day doing, I think, plumbing or chimney. I can't remember which one it was. He would make, like $500 to $1,000, and he lived on Long Island. He would go out to New York City. He would party. He would get home at like 3 or 4 in the morning. He would sleep for a couple hours, and then he would get up at 7 and do the same thing. I do not know how this man functioned. I don't know where he is now. Maybe he finally did kick the bucket one day, but it was. I mean, I've never seen anyone else like that. I imagine there are people like that though.
Yeah, I don't know. That's never like even. I've had opportunities to do stuff like that, and I've never even considered it.
I've got a very addictive personality, so I would not be able to ride that white horse. That would ruin my life.
I'm the same way, especially if it's something that I like a lot. Like,
yeah.
Like I'm just gonna go down the deep end with stuff, but like I just like my stepmother she was not really my stepmother. She was my dad's girlfriend. She overdosed when I was in high school, and she was an addict. So I got to see that stuff for years, and should never have seen that stuff when I was a kid, but I did, and I kind of think it was a benefit for me now because, like I saw how it breaks you down, and it's disgusting, but it's also like it's upsetting because it's like I hate the fact that somebody feels the need that they need to do that because there's a reason why you keep coming back to it outside of like the addiction purposes. But man, I don't think like any band realistically, if they're telling the truth, where that shit actually helps. Dude, Rush made 2112 without doing anything, including drinking alcohol. So you know what? I think that's the benchmark.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
I had like I don't know if were you there at Norway's retirement party in 2018?
I don't think so, no.
I remember Lido was there, Villa was there, Andrews was there, and I like that was it was like the day after that or something. Like I had like my liver just like shut down. I was like, okay, all right, too much alcohol. And it was actually I think as it came up in my Snapchat memories. Yeah, it was like 5 years ago today. Wow, that was a long time ago. It was 5 years ago today. Flashback from February 7th, where I have all these numbers telling me that like my liver's like gonna explode. So yeah, I definitely understand that.
Yeah, like I love beer. Like I love the taste of it, but like I have the hardest time not getting a hangover. Like I don't even have to be drunk and I'll get a hangover. So like my body just does not tolerate it. It's like it just breaks me down. So like anytime I do drink, for instance, like I know I'm gonna not enjoy it later. But like socially, like it's the best. Yeah, you know what I mean? But like, dude, my body just does not handle it like that well. So it's just.
Is it just beer? Like, can you drink whiskey, or is it just all?
I don't like whiskey. I like gin and I like wine a lot.
Okay.
Oddly enough, wine's the thing that doesn't destroy my body.
All right.
I don't get hangovers from it.
Yeah.
Beer does, but I love beer so much. I used to make beer a lot, but now like that's the worst part is like I want to make beer and I want to drink it, but I'm like, I know I'm not gonna feel great.
Was that you or I guess you and Gutherman or somebody had like they brewed their own beer?
Me. Yeah, and
That was you.
I got Gutherman into it.
Nice.
Started doing it at his house because I was in the dorm at the time and I was making it.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was a great conversation with the shirt. I was like, "Can I make beer in here? Because I hate going back to my house every day and doing this." It's like I just leave it in my. I'm gonna leave it in my closet for like a month.
You mentioned Brian before. Like that was probably one of the best times of my life. Living there, you would come over, you'd make music. I'd come back from the gym. Rhea would go and make some food. We'd play Rock Band. Like it was just doggos running around. That was a good time.
He had that's like the best part about him is that he has such good energy about him.
He's the best.
And it sucks because like I know he's dealt with a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because he radiates like such great energy and he makes you just feel good to be alive.
Yeah.
Right? Like
yeah. He's such a bro.
And he's always there for you too.
Yeah. He's like the best. There's this new like app that he's uploading like music to now. I forget what it's called.
Mule? Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's yeah.
Yeah. He's such a good singer, man.
Yeah.
There's just naturally great. Like it's like not fair.
There's this one kid I saw on it. It wasn't the kid's account. It was this high school girl's mom's account that like her daughter was doing there was some event at the school, and this exchange student from Brazil is about to like sing a song. I was like, all right, I'll like record. And the dude sounds just like Elvis. Like he's singing like Can't Help Falling in Love with You. And immediately as soon as he starts singing, all of the girls are like screaming. They're like, ah! And it's like did nobody know that he could do this? And yeah, it's weird. People that can sing, I don't know. It's just something like they'll always have that gift. That's a party trick. It's something they can. Yeah, as well. I'll send that link to you when I can.
Sure. So. Yeah, I can sing barely, but like I wish I could really sing, and I would give anything to be able to do that. It just transforms people.
Yeah, I heard everyone has a range though. Like everyone has like a.
Yeah, everybody does. You know, and like the timbre of your voice, some people sound better than others, but like almost everybody can. You can be on pitch, like everybody can kind of do that. You know, it's a lot of technique. Like I've learned a lot of breathing things that have helped, but like my congestion up in my top part of my face, man, I'm so nasally when I sing that it like I lose my breath so quickly.
Oh, gotcha.
So like there's a couple vocalists that I like. If you can find people that sound like you in a way and just see how their technique is, it can help. But yeah, man, like people that could just naturally sing at a high level is so insane. But even people that can sing at a high level, like a lot of people don't unlock their full potential until they really learn how to do it. And which is mind blowing that there is like a proper way to do it. Which is super interesting to me. But I don't think that's in the cards for me.
I mean, who knows, man? You could have like just one thing where you just have one line in a song. People are like, oh.
Yeah. I've thought about doing like a solo thing of just like things that because I love playing acoustic all the time. And it's most of the stuff I do write on my own time isn't like appropriate for my band.
Okay.
They would probably say otherwise, but like I just don't feel like it's necessary to bring those things to the table. And I've always like just teetered with the idea of like this year, maybe like recording on my own time, not put a lot of emphasis on it, just see what happens if people like it or if people, you know, slide into my Instagram DMs and call me a piece of shit. It's like the test to see if it's just in my head or not. Because like that's the other thing too is like I always hear great singers that always say that they hate the sound of their own voice still. And like I want to go over that barrier and just put it out there to see if it is just me or if it really does like not live up to potential.
Yeah, I don't watch any of my own videos because I hate the sound of it. I hate the way I look. Like I did a 69-hour stream a few months ago, and I just proceeded to get. I just thought I just got uglier as the stream went on.
Well,
like 7 hours in, it's like, do I really look? I'm sorry, guys. You have to look at this all the time.
Oh my God, I don't think you're ugly, dude. I think you're a strapping young lad.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
The young part. Nice.
You know, like, dude, I have bags under my eyes like all the time, and I had this guy at class the other day, and 2 days before this, like, I'm fine, perfectly fine. I was just really tired, but like I look like this all the time. Guy doesn't know me, doesn't talk to me. He sits over here in class. He looks at me, he goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I was like, "Oh, it's the bags in my eyes." I'm like, "I got allergies or something." I'm just like, "Damn, it's that bad?" Jesus. Stranger just thought it was necessary.
We got a super chat from Mike Raziel saying, "Zach, I'll listen to any self-recording singing you put out."
Heck yeah, I can count on one person to at least listen to it.
Hero.
Thanks, Mike. Mike's the fucking man. I love Mike.
Yeah, this is like cool, dude. Hopefully I get to meet him at one of your shows.
Yeah, he's been coming out to a lot of our shows recently. He's been pushing. He's been probably like our biggest proponent of retweeting and pushing out all of our stuff just because he loves our stuff.
Nice,
and, dude. Like, we haven't had a chance to tell him yet, but like, and I think I kind of talked to him at the show on the 14th about that shit. Like, that's the shit we do this for, and like the fact that he loves what we do that much. Like, I'm so happy that he's able to be a part of it like that. So I'm like, I love you. Thank you. We're new friends, but we already have a close kinship.
Saying "I love you" to fans can be very dangerous.
Oh, true.
Have you ever had messages from girls that you've either had to ignore or just be like, hey babe, like, here's what I got messaged, here's what I'm saying back, just so you know that nothing's going on?
You know what the greatest part about that is? No, I haven't, which is amazing. And that's, the benefit of being a bass player is that girls really don't give a shit. But no, like, legitimately, I find it actually kind of odd because, like, I know I'm not a bad looking dude.
You're a very good looking dude.
And I'm actually, like, it sounds really egotistical to say that, but I'm actually kind of surprised. But no, never happens, never has happened. And I'm super thankful I do not have to deal with that. It's amazing because I can't imagine having to deal with that and how overwhelming that would be.
So I'll tell you, I didn't know that this was true. I thought this was something that they just did for the writing of this episode. There's a episode of Sex and the City where Samantha is like managing this like model, and the model is like, "Hey, I thought you said I was going to get girls. I've had like 3 gay guys come up to me and hit on me, and there's no girls." And she's like, "Listen, first comes the gays, then come the girls, and then eventually throughout the episode the girls come." And when I had, in like 2021, it was like 2 years ago, I had gotten DMs and I got super chats from a decent amount of gay guys, and it brought me back to that episode of Sex and the City where first comes the gays, then come the girls, and then it's weird how there was as the amount of Omi had risen, like the crypto that I put everything in, as the amount of that rose, the amount of interest in women also rose at a commensurate rate because they knew how much money.
Well, it's interesting how that, what correlation isn't causation or whatever that saying is.
Okay,
there we go.
First comes the gays.
First comes the gays.
The first gay.
I love that, like, we have made it to that point of the conversation where we're talking about, the gays coming and, Sex in the City. We started with Gilmore Girls, which was fantastic. But the fact we've made it here is like we've literally reached the mountaintop, and I feel so accomplished by this.
Have you ever seen Zach and Miri make a porno?
No, I haven't actually, and it's like one of the movies I've seen the scene though where she's like, "I'm doing anal today" or something like that. And she,
oh, and that, yeah.
I've seen that part, yeah.
So Justin Long, in like it's like the greatest cameo Justin Long's ever done. He has
dude.
He's at their high school reunion with this guy Bobby, who was like the super jock back in high school, and Seth Rogen he's like, "Excuse my French, but are you in gay porn?" And then he's like, "Guilty as charged." So then like his boyfriend that's in there like is like really having trouble, like being out and being like flamboyant and public displays of affection.
Yeah.
So he's like complaining, he's like freaking out, and I was like, "Shh, calm down. I'll be your Sherpa on your mountain of gayness." It's the best line I think of that movie. No, there was other brilliant lines, but yeah,
that's like one of the. It's like that's in like that pantheon of like Pineapple Express, like all those movies, and that's the only one I haven't seen. And I'm like, I have to watch it at some point. I just always forget to.
It's really good. It's really fun.
I can't believe I never did see it. Like it's crazy that I haven't.
Yeah, like there's like in like the late 2000s to early 2010s, you have all those. I like Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh, dude,
like,
it was the best. Best time for that shit. It was great. Super bad. Tropic Thunder.
The golden age of like movie comedy.
Oh my god. The thing I'm excited for the most is the Burt Kreischer movie that's coming out on July 4th.
Oh, I didn't know he was having a movie coming out.
You know the Machine story, right?
Yeah. I've listened to that.
It's called The Machine. It's about that, and Mark Hamill plays his dad.
Oh, no way.
Dude, did you not see the trailer yet?
No, I didn't see that.
Dude, watch the trailer after we're done. You have to.
Because it's like a what, 8-minute story or 9 minutes? I feel like, well, I guess it's like
it's like a big bit that he did.
So I guess it's about the time. All right, so they'll start off when he's like in college, taking a Russian class, and then okay.
I think it's going to be really close to those movies, but the only difference is it's like the trailer looks like a straight up action movie, and like there's just like it goes so far with it that there's like a point where you're like, am I watching the right trailer? And then he appears and says one of his dumbass lines. And it's like, oh shit, this is going to be awesome.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
4th of July weekend. How apropos for a person like
and it's called The Machine.
Yeah, definitely look it up, man. Like the
trailer is so
funny.
I'm putting this in the calendar now because so there's a bunch of movies that I cannot wait to see. And this month especially. On the 15th, we have Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Have you heard about that?
No.
So
is this kind of like Cocaine Bear in a way?
Yes, and that was one of the other things I was going to bring up. So Disney, Winnie the Pooh is like 100 years old, and the Disney they didn't like lose the right. They're still going to make their own Winnie the Pooh stuff. But
it's because Winnie the Pooh's been out so long that
the public domain has it now.
Yeah.
So,
oh my god, this is already great. You haven't even explained it yet.
So in the trailer, I think the rest of the animals in the 100-Acre Woods, I think they're dead because it says Rip Eeyore on like one of like in the signs on the trailer, and I don't know if this is Pooh like grown up or if it's someone in a Pooh costume, but he's straight up murdering people in this trailer. It's called Blood and Honey, and I cannot wait for it.
Oh wait, it's like the Santa Claus movie with David Harbour that came out too. Violent Night.
Not the Fat Man?
No, Violent Night. You haven't heard about this?
No. I love David Harbour too. Tell me about this.
It came out during Christmas. You haven't Googled
Wait, what's this called?
Violent Night. Instead of Violent Night, he's Santa Claus and he's like John Wick.
Okay, so this is all right. Violent Night. KN or NI?
Like nighttime.
Okay, Violent Night, 2022. Oh, I love David Harbour. Stranger Things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna watch this tonight.
Damn, I'm surprised. So it's kind of like that though.
Yeah,
reimagining of it.
So Violent Night is, I guess, it's kind of like a more hardcore. Have you seen The Fat Man?
No, I haven't heard about that. This is great. We're just like giving us, we're just sharing like the most incredible shit right now.
So Mel Gibson plays Santa Claus.
Is this like newer or?
It came out a couple years ago, and he goes and like everybody knows about Santa Claus like in this world. Like he's not like a thing, like he's not like a made up thing. So he has a contract with the government, and the government gives him like certain amount of money to make these toys. But kids are starting to like not disbelieve in him, but they're starting to like hate him. Like they're like trying to shoot at him. And this one kid that gets coal, who's like a billionaire, he like hires this assassin to take out Santa Claus. And it's just a good scene and action sequences. Like it's a pretty good movie.
Oh my god, this looks awesome. And Walton Goggins is in it too.
Yeah, he's the assassin.
He's the assassin. Oh, he's Skinny Man.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I'm definitely watching this too then. Oh my God, that's great. Oh, it just got killed by COVID. That's the problem. Because it was 2020.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Damn, that sucks. They need to make more movies like this. Like I love this shit. Like this is the best like movement of all time. I hope they do that with like Mickey Mouse at some point. If you ever
public domain. I think because this year's their 100th anniversary, so I think Mickey Mouse or Steamboat Willie was their first.
Yeah, all that's the. Oh my God, people are gonna, if this becomes successful, that's Snow White. Can you imagine like Snow White, something like that?
Oh, that could get really dark. Like, have you seen Last House on the Left? Like 7 dudes going. Oh God. Suddenly they're running a train on Snow White.
Pornhub's gonna get their hands on that first.
Yeah, there's so much amazing stuff that people are doing. Like you said, Cocaine Bears. There's a woman that I love.
Based on like a real thing.
Yeah, I've loved this story since I was in the military. Where when Clinton was governor of like Arkansas, there was some CIA op that had to run through Arkansas, and they dropped like a 5-pound bag of cocaine, and the black bear ate it. I think they're making it a brown bear in the series to make it scarier. But the
black bear ate a nuke over the entire United States, and nobody knew where the hell it was. So I'm not surprised that we just dropped cocaine. That's very plausible.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Like for Disney, we had on the VV app, we had like a partner statue drop, which is a Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse like holding hands. And they wanted to get as much Mickey Mouse out stuff before they lose that eminent domain right. And so we have the first appearances of like Steamboat Willie and Mickey Mouse and Walt Disney all on the blockchain. So it's like this beautiful, wonderful thing that we're getting all these things. We get to buy them super cheap. And once that domain runs out, and once a lot of people really get into NFTs, it's going to blow up. And I can't wait.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think that makes total sense now. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, they want to make sure they're the ones that get it on the blockchain while they still have it. So they're
doing it. Them just like being NFTs being like current right now, right before that happens, because that would have been such a missed opportunity if that was like the inverse case.
Yeah, that would have been bad. But we have so much amazing stuff. Some of your stuff that what do you invest in? What are some of the stuff that you from the gigs, from military, as I know you still do reserves, what are the things that you still go and invest in?
Like for me, like financial philosophy is more, my wife has a ton of student debt. So Mark Cuban's kind of like the guy that I like to model my approach to it. And that's paying debt as aggressively as possible.
Yeah.
So after that, it's, I'm not actively investing for that reason, just because we want to be able to be financially free in order to do that.
Wow.
I got really, again, luck. I bought my house in 2018. Wouldn't be able to afford it now. I've made a ton of renovations, and we've put probably at least $100,000 back into this house, and it was perfect timing because I've made my equity back in 3 or 4 years. So it's like
insane.
So like that is nuts. She doesn't have too much left on her loans now. And we definitely want to do that if we ever decide to have kids in the next couple of years. We want to provide every opportunity we can to not have to we got this big crippling student debt weight over here. So that's kind of how. Go ahead.
What are the interest rates on the house and on her student loans? Which one's bigger?
We paid I locked in 2018 kind of high because that's when interest rates were a little higher. It was like 4.5, but for a 20-year-old, but we paid it down. I think we're at like 2.5, 2. We did it obviously when interest rates were super low. And then her interest rates on her loans, it's not that bad.
Okay.
It's not that high. We paid off her private loans once they froze federal loans. So we took advantage of the money that we were saving on that end and just pumped it into the private loans, paid that off. No car payments. I buy all my instruments outright. I don't finance anything. But yeah, just I pay down debt as aggressively as we can.
Yeah. And if there is one piece of financial future like advice that I could say is like, if you ever have an extra 500 or like $1,000, buy the OMI token. It's a crypto that is the only crypto really associated with Disney. It's the only crypto that's associated with the top 20 grossing app. And it's, I mean, I put everything I had into it, and it's did become a millionaire at one point before the whole thing crashed down, and it's like 90% of it. But it's I still buy it whenever I can. Because the bull market will be next year, and I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, we're finally like right at that point where we can start really doing that, because like I don't want to do that kind of thing until we're like, I want to go and do it the right way to make money.
Yeah.
And finally we're at that point within the next 6 months or so we can do that. Because the only expense I have that I'm waiting to pay is I bought a truck in September, but I'm going to just be able to buy it.
Okay.
Which is great. It just, I haven't gotten it yet because of supply chain issues. So after that happens, I'll be able to like see the landscape of like, how much can I allocate towards this? So that I actually was going to hit you up about that when that time came about. Why and what's a good place to start with this stuff? Because I've been following for a while and I'm always like, I think it's about time before it's too late. And like you said, it seems like next year becomes the bull market for it. So
yeah. I mean, I would say, again, I have a little bit of Bitcoin. I have like $1,200 worth of Bitcoin, maybe 1,400 now. It's gone up a little bit, but really not a ton. Like everything is really an OMI. The only other thing that I have is some Earth 2 token, which that hasn't been released on the blockchain yet. It will later this year.
For like more VR integration for that?
For Earth 2 or for VV? Earth 2, it'll be a computer game at first. They will eventually. I mean, they are technically a metaverse, because their metaverse looks amazing. It looks better than 99% of other metaverses. It looks really good. But the only way to get their token is to buy the land and then to get some jewels. And it's just expensive now to be able. Like, I don't know if it's worth it to buy a bunch of land now. Like, if anyone wants to, they'll link down below to Earth 2 and all that jazz, to my Megacity. But there's, I mean, you have like, let's say 6 months before. So if you buy it, you'll get this Essence token, and that's the only way to get it right now. So luckily, I got in pretty early. I have 40,000 of these Essence tokens, and most likely when it goes to launch later this year, it'll probably be worth $1. And in the next bull market, it'll probably be worth well over $10. So it's.
So you're buying the actual crypto as opposed to investing in the company?
For what they did with Earth 2 is, so typically for ICOs or for companies that release a crypto, Mike Zeal invested in Sen and Mavis, holding them long term. I'll check those out.
Yeah.
What normal companies do is like, hey, we have this NFT project, we have this project that we want to do. We minted like 1 trillion tokens or 500 billion tokens, whatever it is, and then they go and they sell some of their tokens to raise capital for their project. What Earth 2 did is like, hey, we have this metaverse already. We're going to let everyone here, buy land, and then you get the land, and then they use that as their funding round, as their seed funding. And then what they did was they instead of giving them equity in in the company, they said, hey, we're going to make this our crypto something that you like mine, but mining is not really anything. You just log in and you get these things called Ether, and you click change, and then it turns into this Essence token. So that's the way they rewarded their people that bought their land early and basically crowdfunded them. Yeah. They say, you bought land, we're going to give you a certain amount of Ether per day, and that Ether will transform into Essence. So Yeah, so that's what they did. And we didn't really know it at the time. What we knew is that we could buy this place in Earth 2 in virtual space, and every time someone used your referral code, or every time somebody bought land in an area you bought land in, you get a small kickback. And you could buy anything, and it would have gone up literally an hour later. It was the most insane time.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was wild. And I messed up because I didn't buy in like locations that people would really want to buy in. Like everything was 10 cents per tile, and each tile is like a 10 by 10 meter piece of land.
Everything.
So when I got in, tiles in America were like $1.50 or $2 or whatever. So like that's okay. Well, that's already a 20x from where the 10 cents was. I'll just buy stuff in like Brazil and India that's like 11 cents. So, but American tiles wound up going to like $60 something. And
shit.
So,
oh my god.
So I really messed up with that, because like my friend Steve put in like 50 grand, and he pulled out like 100 grand, and he has like $1 million essence. So when that comes out later this year, he'll be a millionaire, and he'll probably be Deca millionaire next year in the bull market. And I'm waiting to do that with Omi, but because he would buy like Wall Street, he would buy the tiles that Wall Street was on for like $600. 2 weeks later, sell it for like 10 grand. And I was like, God damn. So yeah, in other metaverses, like when VV releases their VVverse and they have something next to, let's say, like a Marvel land, or because they have partnerships with Marvel and Disney, and then I know that's the land I'm going to go for, because I've seen it in the past where it's all about that location. So I'm ready.
I'm with that shit, man.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Especially now that we're on the precipice of it, it's like it's gonna happen. It's not if it's gonna happen.
Yeah, and the only way you're able to buy that land is with the Omi token. So a lot of people are going to have to run to the exchanges to buy a bunch of Omi, which I already have 153 million of these little things. And so I'm super.
I'm gonna have to talk to you on the back end about this then.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'll tell you how to buy it, or I'll walk you through how to download a trust wallet, give you some funds, and I'll transfer you some Omi. And this, because it's a really pain in the butt to try to go on Coinbase, buy Bitcoin, then it's a Bit4X, send for USD. It's a real pain. It's like a 12-step process. That sucks.
God damn, man. Yeah. All right, dude. I think I'm teched out for the night.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much for having me on again. It's always
of course, man. I love you, brother.
Honestly, I wish we could talk for like 5 more hours.
Yeah, dude. One day we'll do it on like a Friday. I'll have like a big glass of whiskey.
Dude, let's do it. And then I want to do it in person. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. And so you're in Philly still? Or is it?
Right, pretty much, yeah. I'm in
okay. How far away are you from the Guthermans?
Like an hour, I believe.
Okay. They I know they have like 2 kids, and they have another one on the way.
I had a beer with him over like probably like the spring of last year. We met up at the old brick wall. You remember that place in Burlington?
Yes. Yeah, that was a good place.
He was on his lunch. I was up there for something, and we ended up grabbing a couple beers together. And it was nice catching up with him, man. I love that guy so much.
Yeah, he's so cool. He's so chill.
One of the best people ever.
Yeah. Well,
one of those people that you're just like, you just reflect back and you're like, I'm so glad I met that person.
Yeah, dude, I love him so much. Yeah, we'll figure out a good time. Summer will probably be easier for everyone.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, lots of good stuff. I'll you get to it, Mr. Man. You be a family man.
Oh, stop it. I just had a good example for you as my son.
Yeah, that's true. Dad.
I am your father. Respect me.
We all have a lot of dads.
Yeah, I'm the most.
All right, I'll end the broadcast and I'll catch you all later. Bye, guys. I want to say bye to Dashi. Bye, Dashi.